The Prime Minister of the United Kingdom has been arrested in a courtroom, live and in full view of the nation. It is a moment unprecedented in modern British politics, sending shockwaves through Westminster and far beyond. This is UK 360, and what unfolded just over an hour ago may well redefine the trajectory of British governance for years to come. Subscribe now to stay informed, because what comes next is even more revealing and far more significant. Here's what we know. Keir Starmer, the sitting Prime Minister and leader of the Labour Party, was taken into custody directly from the courtroom, not from Downing Street, not from his private residence, but from the very heart of a legal chamber filled with journalists, legal counsel, and stunned members of the public. The arrest was swift and precise. One moment, Starmer stood before the bench; the next, uniformed officers moved in calm, deliberate, and impeccably coordinated. Within seconds, he was handcuffed and escorted through a side exit as cameras captured every second. Outside, chaos erupted. Reporters rushed to broadcast live. Crowds surged against barriers, some cheering, others visibly shaken. Within minutes, every major broadcaster, BBC, Sky News, CNN International, was running continuous coverage. Online, the reaction was instantaneous. Within 10 minutes, it had become the top trending story worldwide. Social media platforms were flooded with footage replayed frame by frame, a digital wildfire spreading across the globe. This was not just breaking news, it was a political earthquake, but the question remains, why? Law enforcement offered almost no detail. A single terse statement confirmed that the arrest was lawful, with further information to follow. That lack of clarity only deepened the crisis. No charges were announced, no timeline provided, no explanation given, just a sitting Prime Minister in handcuffs and a nation demanding answers. In the absence of facts, speculation took hold. Was this corruption, political retaliation, or the exposure of a deeper legal scandal? Conjecture raced ahead of truth. For context, this moment did not arise in isolation. For weeks, whispers in Westminster had pointed to growing legal and ethical scrutiny surrounding the Prime Minister. Investigations were said to be ongoing behind closed doors, with restricted filings and unconfirmed allegations of procedural breaches carrying far-reaching consequences. Sources close to the inquiry spoke of sealed documents and evidence still under review by prosecutors. The secrecy has done little to calm public suspicion. For many, the symbolism is staggering. Keir Starmer, once one of Britain's most respected legal minds, now faces the very justice system he once served. As Director of Public Prosecutions from 2008 to 2013, Starmer built his reputation on discipline, transparency, and an unshakable commitment to the rule of law. Today, that legacy stands in stark contrast to the image of a Prime Minister being led away in handcuffs. To his supporters, this is a tragic downfall, a man undone by the relentless weight of politics. To his critics, it is poetic justice, the law acting without fear or favor. Starmer's rise was meteoric. From barrister to Labour leader to Prime Minister, a political ascent powered by promises of integrity and reform. He vowed to restore trust in a system battered by scandal. Yet now, that image lies in ruins. His government was already fragile, the economy stagnant, inflation stubborn, and the cost of living crisis biting deep. Polls had shown a steady decline in public confidence, a population weary of hardship and desperate for accountability. The opposition had scented blood for months. Even within his own party, unease was growing. So when the Prime Minister entered that courtroom today, he did so under immense political pressure, allies anxious, adversaries circling, and a nation divided in disbelief. And then it happened. An arrest that will be remembered as one of the defining moments in British political history. The moment shattered Britain's political balance. The arrest of the Prime Minister sent Westminster into a state of absolute turmoil. Inside Parliament, the reaction was instant and explosive. Labour MPs were blindsided, some erupted in fury, denouncing the move as a political ambush, a calculated strike to bring down their leader. Others chose silence, weighing loyalties and calculating survival in real time, Unsure whether to rally behind the Prime Minister or quietly distance themselves. Across the aisle, the Conservatives moved with ruthless precision. They smelled blood. Calls for Starmer's immediate resignation echoed through the Commons. Demands for an emergency debate and even a vote of no confidence surfaced within minutes. The Speaker struggled to impose order as the chamber descended into chaos, voices raised, accusations flying, decorum slipping away. Beyond Westminster, the media machine roared into full gear. Networks dropped their scheduled programming. Rolling coverage began on every major broadcaster. Analysts, legal experts, and commentators were rushed into studios, offering instant reactions and snap judgments. Many spoke before the facts had even settled, and the questions came thick and fast. Was this the end of Starmer's premiership? Could Labour survive the fallout? Would Britain face yet another general election? What would this mean for the markets, for the economy, for Britain's standing abroad? Answers were scarce, speculation was not. Outside the courthouse, the story took on a life of its own. Within an hour, hundreds had gathered, protesters and supporters colliding in a sea of anger and defiance. On one side, chants for Starmer's release and banners reading "Defend Democracy" and "Stop Political Persecution." They claimed the judiciary had been weaponized against an elected leader. Opposite them stood a rival crowd waving placards that read "No one above the law" and "Justice at last." Cheers erupted each time footage of the arrest replayed on the giant screens nearby. For some, it was justice served, proof that accountability still applied to power. For others, it was tyranny in plain sight, a democracy under siege. Police intervened quickly. Officers in riot gear formed barricades as tempers flared. The air was charged and volatile, one spark away from confrontation. Then came the digital explosion. Social media became the second battleground. Within an hour, millions of posts flooded every major platform. Twitter logged more than 5 million mentions of the arrest. Facebook's political groups buckled under the surge. TikTok and YouTube were consumed with live reactions, commentary, and misinformation, all blurring fact and fiction into a single frenzied narrative. Theories spread faster than journalists could verify them. Some claimed corruption at the highest level, others pointed to mishandled classified material. Conspiracy upon conspiracy, each one feeding the next. Online, the nation's divisions deepened before the world's eyes. Internationally, the shock was immediate and profound. In Washington, the story led the evening bulletins. Across Europe, broadcasts were interrupted. Even in Asia, headlines carried the image of a British Prime Minister under arrest. The White House issued a measured statement, saying it was monitoring the situation closely. Brussels reaffirmed its faith in Britain's rule of law. Paris and Berlin voiced concern over the UK's political stability. Behind the scenes, diplomats were rattled. Allies questioned whether Britain's government could still be relied upon in a crisis. Within NATO, quiet but serious discussions began about the implications of potential collapse at the heart of one of its key members. Britain's adversaries wasted no time. Russian state media reveled in the moment, branding it proof of Western hypocrisy. Chinese broadcasters echoed the message, calling it evidence of instability within democratic systems. The propaganda value was clear and heavily exploited. Political analysts across the world began issuing stark assessments. If Starmer could not remain in office, Britain faced a constitutional and political crisis of the first order. The Labour Party had no clear successor. Some predicted a government collapse within weeks, others foresaw a snap election, plunging the nation into fresh uncertainty. Markets reacted with predictable anxiety. The pound dipped against the dollar as traders braced for further volatility. As the country stood still, stunned, divided, and uncertain, one truth had already settled across the nation. This was no longer just a political scandal. It was a seismic rupture, a turning point in modern British history. The story takes a darker turn because tonight, the full picture remains incomplete. As of this evening, the formal charges against the Prime Minister remain undisclosed, an extraordinary omission in a case of such national importance. Legal experts describe it as highly irregular for an arrest of this scale. In proceedings involving a sitting head of government, transparency is not optional, it is essential. Typically, charges are made public immediately to preserve confidence and prevent speculation. The continued silence, experts warn, suggests something far more complex is unfolding behind closed doors. Some legal analysts believe the investigation may relate to decisions taken during Starmer's time in office. Others point further back to his years as Director of Public Prosecutions, when his judgments shaped some of the country's most consequential legal cases. What is confirmed by multiple sources close to the investigation is that sealed documents exist. Several court filings remain classified under judicial order. In the 3 days leading up to the arrest, high-level meetings took place, unannounced and unacknowledged.